So our final, at least in this collection of short stories by Voltaire, our final Voltaire short story is called The White Bull. So this one's kind of a short one. In my opinion, there's not much to it other than it's Voltaire taking a well-known, or would have been well-known at the time, Bible story and turning the villain into, it's sort of showing it from the villain's perspective. So the traditional Bible story is the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. I think it's Nebuchadnezzar the second. He's the guy who conquered Israel or Judah or both. He took the Jews into captivity, which is like a major historical event, and so he gets a pretty bad rap in the Bible. He's seen as this horrible tyrant king who destroyed the temple and took away the Jews into the captivity in Babylon. And so the story goes that one of the prophets, Daniel, predicted one of Nebuchadnezzar's dreams, and that Nebuchadnezzar would become a bull or an animal and eat grass like an animal for 7 years. So he basically turns into a bull. Although I think it's more of he sort of loses his mind and becomes animal-like for 7 years. But anyways, so that's kind of the story. Voltaire in this story shows it from the bull's perspective, or not from the bull's perspective, but what if Nebuchadnezzar isn't a bad guy? What if he's a really great guy and a great king, and it's just it's kind of a bad thing that he got turned into a bull. And so that's sort of what this story is about. It sort of focuses on this princess of Egypt who had fallen in love with Nebuchadnezzar. But she's not even allowed to say his name because she's a princess of Egypt. Her father's a king in Egypt. And Egypt was conquered by Babylon. So this king of Egypt, who's been conquered by the Babylonians, is like, why is my daughter in love with this guy who conquered me? You are banned from even speaking his name. So anyway, so she's the king Nebuchadnezzar. He's been missing for 7 years, and so this girl's distraught. The man she loves, she's not allowed to love, but also he's been missing for so long. Anyway, she's with this this magus, this like immortal eunuch. I think he's a eunuch. This immortal magus sorcerer guy who's works for her father, and they come across this woman who's also like, she's a biblical figure. I think there's a lot of biblical figures in here. Anyways, this woman who is also immortal and is also like a sorceress, but has with her a menagerie of animals, and all of these animals are from the Bible. Like there's the snake, the serpent that tempted Eve. There's the raven that was on Noah's Ark, and the doves that were also on Noah's Ark, and like brought the branch to Noah so that he knew he was on dry land. There's the whale that swallowed Jonah. There's a goat and there's a few things. Anyways, they're all like biblical animals, famous biblical animals. And there's also this bull. And all of these animals and the woman are tasked with keeping this bull like under guard, sort of not imprisoned, but he's chained. He's on a big chain leash. Anyway, so yeah, it's gonna turn out that the bull is Nebuchadnezzar. And so upon meeting this bull, the girl really likes it. The bull sort of runs up to her and like kneels before her and starts weeping, and she's like, oh, I actually really like this bull. We should bring it to the palace. And eventually she realizes that this bull is Nebuchadnezzar, and it's like a love story between her and Nebuchadnezzar, aka the bull. It's kind of the story of Zeus and what was it, Europa, when Zeus turned into a bull and captured Europa and like raped her and took her away and did whatever Zeus does when he turns into animals with other people. But it's again reversed, where it is an actual consensual love story. Yeah, so it turns out that the bull Apis, the sort of one of the major or the major god of Egypt, has died, and so they're looking for a replacement. But at the same time, because this woman has spoken the name of Nebuchadnezzar when she sees the bull, her father's like, no, no, I have to kill you because I told you don't say the name of the guy who conquered me. So he's like, we're going to sacrifice this bull and then kill my daughter. And but this like ancient sorcerer guy is like contacts the priests in Egypt and is like, hey, you need a replacement for the bull. Why don't you get this great? I've got a great bull here. Come and take him. So that's sort of the ultimate. The culmination is the father getting ready to sacrifice the bull, but the priests of Egypt showing up and saying, no, no, we want this bull to be our new god. So he's saved, and at that moment, the 7 years is up, and so he transforms back into a man, and it's Nebuchadnezzar, that brilliant young man who managed to conquer the world. Wow, he's so great. He marries the princess. They live happily ever after. The father gets to keep his kingdom, even though he's still a subject to Babylon. Yeah, they all live happily ever after. Some of the prophets, Daniel shows up, and who are the other prophets? I think it's Ezekiel and Jeremiah show up, and they're like, yeah, we turned Nebuchadnezzar into a bull, but they sort of become not the bad guys, but they end up being turned into magpies themselves because they talk too much or something. It was like a really weird short scene. But yeah, Voltaire kind of makes fun of how, well, yeah, people could turn into animals. It happens all the time. Back in my day, this like immortal guy's like, yeah, back in my day, in the what would have been, I guess this is all taking place in the biblical era. But he's like, yeah, people turn into animals all the time. It's just a thing. It's not a big deal. But anyways, that's White Bull. It's taking a story of this like horrible villain Nebuchadnezzar getting his just desserts by being turned into an animal and flipping it on its head and saying, oh, this like wonderful, benevolent, valorous king has been reduced to his animal state, and his lover is distraught. But in the end, he turns back, and they all live happily ever after. So yeah, just a kind of a short one, but that wraps up our adventures into the writings of Voltaire in this little collection.